Now, my next guest is about to make his third appearance on the programme, and they don't get any more inspirational than Richard Tyler. Richard was first on my programme back at the end of January, on the 30th of January this year, having been diagnosed in December of 2021 with a very rare form of blood cancer. Devastating for anybody, and Richard in a situation where he found he could get some treatment, but that treatment was going to cost £40,000, not available on the NHS. So he decided, along with wife Kelly and daughter Mia, to see if he could raise the money. Well, he did that and some, and has since been continuing on his journey and raising money by setting up the Willow Tree Foundation to help other families going through a similar experience. Well, Richard then came back on the programme in April, on the 10th of April, with an update on his current situation and how the foundation was progressing and what was to be in store for Richard and his family. And here's a little bit of our chat back in April.
I got into remission after 8 weeks. So December the 7th got the news. February the 7th, we got the news that I was in total remission. So through the very aggressive rounds of chemo, had got rid of any sign of cancer in my system. And then that's the optimum window then is to start the process for a bone marrow transplant, which really is my best chance of eradicating the toxins and the cancer in my body to ensure that it doesn't come back, to replace it with something that is healthier.
Well, that was in April. Today it is the 5th of June. I'm not going to lie, I know that Richard has absolutely been through the ringer since then, but he is here with an update of how that transplant with stem cells has gone. Hello to you.
Hey, Sylvie, it's good to speak to you again.
Oh, so good to speak to you. So that was the 10th of April that you were on the programme with that most recent update. The last few weeks, frankly, have been hell, haven't they?
Yeah.
And I know how, I've gotten to know you and your story and your family and the foundation, the incredible work that you've done, and I've followed your journey, and I know how you are just unbelievably Mr. Positive, but the reality is how that this has been a pretty tough, grueling and frankly brutal journey, hasn't it?
It has, really. From day one it has, and the stem cell transplant, I have to say, was it was hard going. I mean, you're stuck in a hospital room, so you're completely isolated. It's air filtered room. You can't leave it. Your food's double cooked, so you don't. So we kind of eradicate any chance of infection. And while I was in for just over 3 weeks, nearly 3.5 weeks. You're in there with a solid week of chemo to start it off. So you have chemo every day for 6 days, which is really to get rid of any remnants of the cancer still in the body. And then you have the transplant, which you're either lucky enough to have your own cells put back in, which is the kinder, gentler version of a stem cell transplant. For some, it will be donor based, but sadly, none of my relatives were a perfect match. So I had my own stem cells put back into my body. At that point, your system crashes, so your immunity really goes to zero. And it's at that point you're at very high risk of infection, and you start this healing journey, I guess, this journey to recovery, which I'm now on, out of hospital for a week. Isolating at home for 3 months. I can go out and walk the dog, but I have to be masked up. I can't have conversations with people. We can't have visitors to the house. It feels tough, I have to say.
I know that, you've been kind of doing a sort of a social media diary of your journey, and some days that's been tougher than others for you to even really be able to communicate what it is that you're going through. Nonetheless, you continue to give hope to others going through similar circumstances, and you continue along with your amazing wife Kelly and your daughter Mia, and I'm sure other many influential people in your family circle to help others through the Willow Tree Foundation. How's that bit going at the moment?
Yeah, it's moving forward. I mean, the diarising the journey was, we looked to see what else was out there before we went in for the transplant, because we wanted to best prepare ourselves, for me to prepare myself, but also for Kelly and Mia to prepare for what was ahead. So there really wasn't anything out there other than kind of official documentation and guidelines, but we wanted something from people who'd experienced it themselves. So that was the decision, really, to do the diary, which, as you say, was hard some days. But I'm kind of feel inundated with messages from people that I don't know who say, "Thank you so much. I'm about to go through a stem cell transplant," or "My husband is due to go through a stem cell transplant. This has really helped us get our heads around how we prepare, how we get ready, how I best support them." So that bit feels, I'm so glad that I did that, even on the days that felt like really I didn't want to say anything, or I didn't want to communicate with the outside world. So the Willow Tree continues to grow. We had, just before I went in for the transplant, we were in this incredible position of being able to start giving out funds to our families that had applied for some financial support. So we supported four families with £5,000 each, which for them will be a real life-saving amount of money. There really isn't anywhere that people can go to get funding to support them through their cancer journey. They can get small grants, £100, £500. Beyond that, there isn't anything. And so being able to give out this money, people's response, and know the impact that was going to have on them was incredible. And whilst we continue to support them and stand alongside them in whatever way we can, we're also back into our mission to continue raising funds now. We have to bump that pot of money back up again so that we can continue to support other families.
Has this process of the foundation that you set up helped you go through what you've been through, particularly the last few weeks? Does this give you a focus, if you not, it can't possibly take you out of yourself and what you're going through, but does it give your mind and your brain something else to think about, even though the topic is the same?
Yeah, I mean, it does. It felt like when Kelly and I decided that we would set up the foundation back in December, it felt like there was an intellectual bit of us that said, yeah, it's the right thing to do. But actually, more than that, was a real heavy heart that felt like we had to be able to give something that we had been given by others, which was love and kindness and money. We had to be able to hand that on, because there were people in very, very desperate and dark situations. And that became more evident the more people applied for funding, when we started to get to really understand their stories. And for me, that really carries me forward to continue with this. I won't say, Kelly's really is the figurehead of the Willow Tree. She does all the work that is unseen, and there's no possible way Willow Tree would exist without Kelly and all that she does. But for both of us, there's a real sense of this has a big impact. Being able to fund and support someone through through probably what is the toughest journey in their life that they will have to navigate, if it means that they can manage it with just a little more ease and kind of spaciousness, then that feels a real driving force for me. So it has helped me. It continues to help me, and I guess at the same time I'm putting energy into my own recovery and needing to get back to a place where I am well and I have some energy, and I guess there's also a bit for me about kind of, if you like, redesigning my life a bit, because there's a huge amount of wisdom in cancer, is what I've come to realise. As much as it is a devastating blow when you get a diagnosis, there's extraordinary amounts of learning and insight and being able just to access this wisdom that I think it's forced me to stop and reflect on the parts of my life that were almost on autopilot, were running just habitually, doing it because I've always done it that way. And this has given me a chance to reset, to redesign, to let go of some things that were in my life that were a bit past their sell-by date. So my world feels quite full with recovery, thinking about what's ahead for me and my family, and at the same time wanting to continue to raise funds and support our families in all the ways that we're doing.
Two things, Richard, if I may, and are you still okay just to talk for a few more minutes? I don't want to obviously exhaust you.
No.
You're resting and you need to, of course. Just a couple of things. The Willow Tree Foundation, clearly you continue to need financial donation to help others. Anyone who's listening who feels perhaps they are able to help in any way, shape or form, how do they get in touch with you or with Kelly?
Yeah, if the best place to go to is the website, so everything sits there, which is thewillowtreefoundation.com. From there, people can join our Facebook group, which is where we're kind of holding the hub and the community. But also they can, from the website, get into the Facebook group to access the diaries, the daily diaries. They can connect with us. They can donate directly from there, and they can also get access to all of the guidebooks that have been put together and all our kind of learning that we put down into documents to go, here you go, this is just to help you get through. So that's the best way to contact us. There are still we have people in our tribe who are doing fundraising events. One of our friends has just run in the Hampton Court 10K. I mean, she's never run in her life, but was just absolutely determined to do it to raise funds for the Willow Tree. So in whatever way people are able to support us, whether that's as an individual or whether that's as an organisation that wants to in some way partner with us, then that would just be amazing.
Fantastic. And finally, what is next for you? So you've got 3 months at home in isolation. Yeah. What happens next?
So I have weekly visits to St George's Hospital from now, which is really just to check my bloods and make sure that that I stay on track. This 100 days now is quite an optimum time. So towards the end of the 100 days, I'll have another PET scan, which will tell us what's worked and what hasn't worked. As we've talked about before, this type of cancer, mantle cell, despite getting into remission quickly, it's a cancer that tends to come back. So that will be quite a pivotal point for us, middle of August, when we have the PET scan. From that point, I go back under the care of my oncologist and onto some kind of maintenance plan. But really our hope is that, despite the maintenance plan, I'll stay in remission and this will be the chance where where my body and mind and soul continues to recover and heal beyond the 100 days.
You continue to be two things: an amazing inspiration, and secondly, still the only man who ever made me cry live on the radio on our first interview. Nobody's ever going to come close to that. Richard, we're going to get you back on, if it's okay, late August, early September, after that PET scan, and continue, to talk about the work that you do to help support the Willow Tree Foundation, and of course to continue to support you and Kelly and Mia. Lots of love.
You're so kind. Thank you. Lots of love to you too.
That's Richard Tyler. If you've got a story to share, if you're making a difference, please send me the details on the email sylvie.blackmore@bbc.co.uk.
BBC Radio